Wow, I haven't looked at an iPad, unboxing it on this channel since 2022, but I'm back now. They finally brought me back to look at the iPad Air M3. There's no M3 on there, but I thought it was. The iPad Air M3, which by all accounts, that's how you take it out in case you were wondering. By all accounts is very, very similar to the iPad Air M2 because, I mean, Apple's mostly just figured these things out. By now, like, iPads are iPads. You know that, especially with the Apple Silicon M series chips, it's gonna be good. If you told me this was an iPad from 2 or 3 years ago, I'd believe you. That said, the design hasn't worsened with age. Still got these flat sides that originally showed up in the iPad Pro, and then they kind of trickled it down to their other designs. And what color is this? What is this, a sky blue? You're supposed to know. It's not sky blue, it's just blue. But the colors that are available, the body, the design in general, it's all the same. Virtually the only thing that has changed is the chip inside. Used to be an M2, which is fine. The M2 was already enough. So Apple, what are you don't have to do this anymore. What are you trying to prove? But I don't know, maybe there is something to prove. We'll find out after we find out what else is in this box. It's probably the same as the last time. Got a power adapter, which is 20 watts, and a USB-C cord, which has this new sleeved thing that Apple is putting on all their recent USB-C cords. I love it. All right, see, that's a big upgrade. We got the chip and the cord. That is like 1 meter or about 3 feet, 3 inches or something. Okay, do the math. Now we have the 11-inch version here, but it also comes in a 13-inch, just like the previous model, which we also have right here, also in an 11-inch. So we can directly compare, just to make sure, has anything really changed? One has less scratches on it.
That was you just now.
Huh?
That was you just now.
That was me?
Yeah, putting it on your laptop.
So, I mean, you tell me. There's nothing really super obvious that has changed. That has changed here. Volume up and down button there alongside the magnetic mount for the pencil. On the top we have the Touch ID power buttons. Oh, and the 2 speaker grills, even though this is the iPad Air and there's only one of these that is active. Same with the grills on the other side. Nothing on this side, and on the bottom, those same 2 speaker grills, only one's enabled, and the USB-C connector. Same USB-C connector as the previous gen, but the last iPad I did, can I leave them here? Can I do that? I'm not gonna do it. But the previous iPad I did was the first iPad Air. No, that's not true. Yeah, the bodies look basically the same in terms of thickness, exactly the same. That looks like a delicious iPadwich. So yeah, that's what you're dealing with. Same price as well, starts at $600, which gets you the same starting storage of 128 gigs. So that's basically the story of the core of the device here. Same screen, same refresh rate, same resolution, a lot of other stuff the same, but there are some things that are different and some differences with accessories as well. And we'll talk about that right after this message from our sponsor, dbrand. Hey, why not add a layer of customization to your pretty boring minimalist Apple hardware? You know, keep it free of scuffs and scratches. I could have prevented this. dbrand skins have a nice textured finish that feels good in the hand. Haven't you ever wondered what's inside this thing? Well, dbrand's X-ray skins are made using real X-ray scans in an advanced metrology lab using hardware designed for literal rocket science. What are they doing? The scanners even picked up the Apple logo, so strangers will know you gave thousands of dollars to the monolithic fruit company. X-ray skins come in both light and dark mode, and they're a 2-for-1 deal. So buy any X-ray skin and dbrand will include both colorways at no added costs. Video hosts can offer any additional observations or opinions about the skin that they want, so check them out at shortlinus.com. All right, let's get on inside of this iPad and see whether there's actually anything different. I mean, as I said, pretty much the only difference between this iPad Air and the previous gen is the M3 chip versus the M2. So pretty much the only difference that you're gonna experience in terms of using it is the performance. So let's look at the performance. So one thing to note while we're looking at these numbers is that we can only compare the M3 iPad Air to the M1 iPad Air because we didn't get an M2 iPad Air. We just thought, it's basically the same, so. That's not true, but just be aware, we're not intentionally comparing this to a 3-year-old product. That said, as an owner of an M1 iPad Air, I'm interested in this because, you're probably not going to upgrade directly to the next gen every time they release a new gen of iPad, but for M1 owners, this might be somewhat interesting. So, let's take a look. What we got, at least in Geekbench here, is 32% M3 versus M1 in single core, 38% better in multi-core, and 45% better in 3D Mark, which is more of a GPU benchmark. During our stress test in 3D Mark, the first run we did was incredibly high for the M3, but then it throttled quite a bit for subsequent tests. Note that there's no active cooling, so it's kind of like it gets all the juice out, and then it's kind of like, somebody open a window. And that leads the M3 to drop to like 60% of its first run performance. That throttling means that the gap between the M3 and the M1 was pretty big to start with, but during the later runs, the M3 was only about 9% better in performance, so. I guess that's something to keep in mind if you're gonna be planning on using your iPad Air for a really, really long time doing compute intensive things, which is like, do those exist for the iPad? They do, but for who? For like 5 people, moving on. I don't know. Okay, seriously though, iPad people who use this as like their full computer and have a pro workstation built off an iPad Air, I see you, okay? I know you exist. I love you. As for brightness, Apple says that this is supposed to get you 500 nits, same as the previous one, and our labs team found that to be true. But we did catch Apple lying about the battery life of this thing. The iPad Air M3 is, on paper, it has the same battery life as the iPad Air M1, but guess what? It's actually better. Our labs testing found that the M3 has improved battery life over the M1, and so got you, Apple. Got you so bad. So there you have it for performance. I mean, at the end of the day, breaking news, the M3 is faster than the M2 and M1. There's not a whole lot of other competition out there for like mid-high-end smooth tablets, but now we know. The one thing I was sort of interested in looking at on this one is Apple Intelligence features, but I haven't really even had a chance to look at them. That said, I think the general consensus among Apple users out there right now is that the Apple Intelligence features are, they're there, they're definitely there. I think everyone was really waiting for the Siri, the upgraded AI Siri with the personal context and ability to kind of like know when your mom's coming into the airport and stuff and book a cab for her. But that's been delayed indefinitely and that's not here yet. But what is here is Image Playground. This is still in beta. The great thing about all these AI features are still in beta. Describe an image or add a suggestion. I'm gonna do it the lazy way. Do I have to just tap it? Apple makes it, Apple makes this so easy that you don't even have to come up with words to prompt it with. You just tap things. Fireworks and love. Scientists, fireworks, and love. What you got for me, AI? Choose a person? Very cool. What are we doing? Why do we have this? Because the other thing about Image Playground is that you can't even, it's an image generator, but it's got so many guardrails on it, so you can't even really make interesting images with it from what I've seen. Oh, I can change the style, illustration. I love all these. In the previous style, they were all smiling and being like, science! And these people are like, I calculate things for my job. They don't look excited at all. Who is that? That looks like Michael Jackson. Okay, now that I've seen Apple Intelligence, I know that I'm not really missing anything. Bring Siri, bring the AI Siri, and then we'll talk. Now there's one more new thing that Apple launched alongside this new iPad Air. And it's this, a new Magic Keyboard. This is the updated Magic Keyboard for the iPad Air M3. And it's also compatible with the iPad Air 2, which launched alongside its own Magic Keyboard that went for
$300.
This costs
$270.
$80. It's
$30.
$30 cheaper, and it's better. It's got a larger trackpad and a row of function keys, joining the Magic Keyboard that is for the iPad Pros in having this more kind of MacBook-like function row on the top. Just like the other Magic Keyboards, we've got this nice magnetic attachment and this floaty kind of design, although I guess it's like, yeah, it looks like it's floating less high above the ground than the Pro models, but maybe that's just because it's an 11-inch. That feels nice. It's very, very thin, obviously, and there's a little bit of a tactile bump. It is actually impressive that they managed to put a keyboard that feels this nice to type on, and made it this thin. However, if you are kind of like adding a bit more power to your strokes and going higher up, then when you hit, it definitely feels like you're just kind of like tapping on nothing. Yeah, if you keep it kind of closer to the keys, then it makes things feel a little nicer. But yeah, I mean, nothing, no complaints here, and the function row just makes it better. Apple gets a lot of crap, from me included, for, you know, overpricing things, for not adding features when we want them, for making things that don't make sense. But particularly with their more budget kind of mid-range products, they've been doing a good job in just kind of making them better and not giving them a huge price hike. Like the iPad is the same price as the previous gen, and it's better. The keyboard is cheaper than the previous gen and better. You know, it's kind of something similar that we saw with the Mac Mini release. Now, $380 is also just the price of the base model iPad. But you know, that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, credit where credit is due, Apple. You know, with these mid-range products, I'm happy with what you're doing. All right, one thing I did not check out yet was the speakers and the, you know, kind of looking at the screen and how it performs doing cool stuff. So let's check that out. All right, how do the speakers sound? Max. Oh, screenshot, whoops. You know, as usual, Apple knows how to make speakers for an iPad, you know? I still haven't seen anyone else catch up with putting like actually decent speakers. And this is only the one where there's only one speaker in one of these grills. I think it's the bottom one here. Somebody will figure it out eventually. I think the Pixel Slate, I've mentioned this before, the Pixel Slate from many years ago, that had really good speakers. But other than that, it's Apple. As with the previous gen, you've got a 60 hertz LCD IPS display here that Apple calls Liquid Retina. And you know, things look pretty good. The only way you're gonna get a better image on an iPad is by upgrading to the iPad Pro, but not many people are gonna complain about this. What we may be able to complain about though is the camera, so let's check that out. I'm not sure though, I'm not sure. Oh, I take it back. I don't know if I'll be able to complain about this. I mean, it's pretty good. All right, ready? Cheers to the good times. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, I take it back. Apple can still take 12 megapixels on the back and make it look nice. What about the front though? Okay, ready? I look insane. I look out of my mind. I always have this problem. I think I'm doing a funny face, but I'm actually like, I'm making people fear for their lives, probably. Like what? Don't say hi to that guy on the street. Apple's technology did a really good job of capturing my absolute unhinged nature. Okay, that's about enough of that. So, Apple has delivered to us an iPad Air with an M3 chip inside. They've continued their process of kind of taking the desktop class chips that they have in their MacBooks and just kind of handing them down to the iPads. And here we are. I mean, it's not super exciting at this point after 2 generations of M-class chips in an iPad, but maybe we shouldn't be complaining about that, you know? It's like Apple has very surely and slowly been marching towards this future that was described many years ago, where they think of the computer as kind of a slate of glass that can do almost everything. I look forward to Apple adding more things to iPad OS, making more powerful iPads, even if for most people, spending $600, plus
$270.
more on a keyboard dock, even if that doesn't make sense for most people, if you need a tablet, probably go for one of the cheaper ones. But the iPad Air is kind of here as an option for people with money to blow, and something that represents the motion that I want Apple to keep doing. Make more powerful tablets, make computers easier to use, make them able to be used the way that you want them to be. So put Mac OS on it, and then that would be it. This is it for this video though. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to ShortCircuit, and if you're looking for something else to watch, go watch Linus's video about the iPad Pro M4, which basically represents the, a couple tiers up actually, because you can upgrade this, but it's like, oh my God.